This is number 579 of why I hate product recall listings.
Yeah.
Okay. So recently, Cabot Creamery premium butter was recalled due to possible fecal contamination.
Oh.
Yeah, let
Ooh.
that sink in there for a second. Yes, I said fecal contamination. Okay.
I don't like it.
No. So, after the product was found to have elevated levels of bacteria,
Mm,
okay, it
yeah.
was recalled. Now, it was recalled from about 7 states, including Arkansas, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, Maine, Connecticut, and New Hampshire.
Right.
According to Cabot Creamery, 99.5% of the product was recovered before it reached customers. There was only recalled butter that made it to store shelves in Vermont. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to add a second level of weirdness here. The USDA made no press release about the poop butter recall.
Oh. What?
So, why? Well, here's the thing.
Well, yeah.
So,
Why?
there are news outlets, and they're not always the biggest news outlets. Sometimes they're small. I mean, I'm just saying, like, every news outlet
Right.
must get like a daily or weekly download of all notices of recall. Okay. And
Yeah.
all notices of recall are posted on like the FSIS or the USDA or the FDA's website. Okay.
Yeah.
You can go and look at them. Okay. But they don't actually put out press releases about all of them. They kind of pick and choose. Okay.
Okay.
And that worries me. Okay. So these other press companies, like, newspapers and whatnots, they put out articles where the headline was Cabot Creamery butter possibly, contaminated with fecal matter. So my first question, animal or human? Because
That
I know it probably
matters.
doesn't make a difference, but it does. It matters. Are we
Yeah, it
talking
really
about a
does.
rogue employee or a rogue goat? I mean, like, I got to know these things because once again, I have questions.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
So I went to a bunch of these different, news articles. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so a lot of them were saying things like, although most coliforms, because that's what the butter tested positive for was coliforms,
Right.
do not cause illness, their presence indicates potential lapses in hygiene during production.
Mm.
That's not helping. That is making me think that Jimmy forgot to wash his hands after going to the bathroom. Okay? So that's
So,
that's where my brain is going. That's where it's filling in the missing pieces.
right.
Okay? Another article stated coliform is a generic term for gram-negative bacteria that are frequently found in the intestines. Okay? Finding them would often suggest recent fecal contamination at some point along the production pipeline. So now Jimmy took a poop on the production line. Okay? That's where my brain is filling this in.
Now hold
Okay?
on. Hold on. Production line starts with a cow. So at least there's that. Like,
I see,
it's
my
a
brain did not go to cows pooping. It went to Jimmy. But I'm glad that you thought of cows because
I
cows make sense with butter.
I thought of cows. And like one aspect that we were discussing earlier is that it none of it contained E. coli. And
Yes.
oftentimes I think E. coli is associated with a meat eater's contamination fecal matter wise. Right. So like birds, animals, whatever, oftentimes have E. coli in their
Intestinal
fecals.
tracts.
Yeah, because of the meat that they eat. But cows are vegetarians, so cows don't carry E. coli. So because it's E. coli absent, that makes me think it's cows. Because let's be real, cows poop and they got tails that do the swishy swishy through the poopies. So like, it's That's a real possibility.
I think it was the motion with the
Swishy,
talking that got
swishy.
me. Yeah.
Swishy,
So then,
swishy for the
okay.
poopy poopies. So like that makes sense to me. Like, do I like it? No. Are my feelings hurt? Very much so. I don't want poop in any of my food, if at all avoidable. But I'm gonna go with a microcosm of like a feeling of warm and fuzzy that it is cow feces and not Jimmy who has gone terribly wrong.
Now, so this is important to know. The FDA defines this recall as a class 3, as in not likely to cause adverse health consequences if the product is consumed. I'm thinking my mental health will be greatly affected if I find out that I ate poop with, or I ate butter.
Emotional damage. Done.
Yeah,
Because
emotional. So I had to dig really, really far until I found an article that actually spoke with the Vermont Department of Health. Okay.
ah,
They stated the recalled salted butter contains high levels of coliform bacteria, which is a bacteria commonly found in soil, plants, and intestinal tracts of both humans and animals.
mm-hmm.
So I'm feeling a little better here.
Okay.
Then they stated that coliform is also one of the most common water contamination problems in Vermont.
So okay, so it could have come from the water. One, that doesn't help me, because it means you got poo water. But technically, isn't it all poo water? Like, because that doesn't help either. But it all goes through a
No,
process where like the water's treated, but you have instances where pipelines lose pressure. And then that's when you go on boil notices. And so maybe there was a boil notice that got missed through
that
all
they
of this.
missed.
Yeah. So
Okay, yeah. So,
that.
but here is my point. So you have news outlets
Mm.
that are reporting on different recalls.
Mhm.
Okay. But because the FDA's notice has so little information, they are basically hyping it up because they could have said, Cabot Creamery's butter was recalled due to bacteria. No. The headlines that I saw were contaminated with fecal matter.
Poop
You know,
butter?
yeah, I mean, fecal contamination. Those were the words that I was seeing. So it leads one to believe that now butter has poop in it. And so my point here is that I really hate FDA recall notices because there's such a lack of information.
Right.
It doesn't give context.
Yeah.
Yes, they are saying, and it doesn't even say, oh, well, this is this, you know, coliform. It wasn't E. coli. They're not even giving any real context. They're not giving us any context on how the contamination ended up in the butter.
Right.
So, yeah, this is another fun recall of the news reporting the recall is worse than the recall itself, I think. Still not
I
100% on that one.
I'm gonna go with probably so. We'll go with probably so. That's not, yeah.
Let us know down below. Did you see an article pop up about fecal contamination in the Cabot Creamery butter? Are you ever going to buy Cabot Creamery butter again for fear that it's made in Vermont and apparently they have fecal contamination slash coliform as a water contaminant? That scares the crap out of me. I'm not moving to Vermont anytime soon. Oh, let me know. Oh, and as a bonus, let me know. Do recall notices piss you off too? Because I would love to know.